Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon. And while you're there, go ahead and like, rate, review, subscribe, do whatever, and then head on over to the Facebook group or Twitter account and join in the discussion, guys. Don't forget dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. If you have your own question, send it in and maybe I'll mention it on the show. Well, hello everyone. Hope you guys are enjoying the week. It is a cold day here in Austin, Texas. It's Thursday morning and we got a little bit of flurries last night. I stepped outside about 10:30, I think it was, and just kind of saw some freezing rain / snow. Being that I am a northern boy, I enjoyed seeing it. You know, every once in a while, I like seeing the snow. Some people hate it. Some people freaking out, of course. This is Texas, but I enjoyed it. And, of course, it didn't really stick around too much. It's already melted, actually. The sun came out. So, again, it was nice to see. So, I'm starting my morning off right. Guys, right now I want to talk to you about the Oscars. That's right. The Academy Awards is on Sunday, and I myself just finished the last film on my Best Picture nomination list, Parasite. 2 nights ago, I went and I watched Jojo Rabbit, so I have seen all the nominees for Best Picture. It's kind of a tradition I've done these last couple of years to watch all the Best Picture nominees. Just mainly, you know, to make the show a little more fun and to be more involved, be better informed, you know, because that's what you want to do when you have an opinion on something. You want to be as informed as you possibly can. But I've been a big Oscar guy for at least the last couple of years now, mainly because once I understood what the Academy Awards were and how it worked, I believe in the system. Now, you have the Golden Globes, which is fun. You know, it's a fun show. But the people who vote on the Golden Globes are about 60 to 70 members of the Hollywood Foreign Press, okay? Whereas, say, the Academy Awards are made up of 7,000 members of people who actually work in the industry of making movies, okay? These are people who actually have been doing it for years or perhaps their entire life. So they have a little bit more credibility in what I think, at least. Kind of like, you know, the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild, the Screen Actors, whatever. Those award shows, in my eyes, hold a little more credibility than the Golden Globes or even, say, the People's Choice Awards or, God forbid, the MTV Movie Awards, mainly because the other award shows, like the Academy Awards, are voted by people who know movies the best. So that's why I get more excited about the Oscars, about the Academy Awards. And once I finish my list, I like to go through, have a little special, and talk about the movies that I enjoyed that have been nominated and ones that, you know, I hope win versus ones that I actually think are going to win. So that's what I'm going to do. You guys, of course, fire back on the social media groups and Gmail account. Let me know what you think about my picks. I'm not going to go through all the categories. I'm not going to go through like costume design or documentary or short film. Ones that I really pay attention to are the ones I'm going to go through. So let's start off and get it going, guys. Best original score. You got the films Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Well, of course, being a big Star Wars fan, I am little, you know, leaning towards John Williams, getting a record number of Academy Award nominations in his lifetime now. Great for him. Thomas Newman, I thought, did a great job with 1917. Randy Newman, Marriage Story, okay. And then Alexandre Desplat, I can never say that name right. He did a pretty good job as well with Little Women, but none of them really stand out, I think, as much as the Joker original score. I'm going to try to say this composer's name. Hildur Guðnadóttir. Yeah, I tried. I tried to do it, but I just couldn't do it. But honestly, that's probably the one that stands out most to me. So I think that's who I'm rooting for, really. I mean, who I think should get it and will get it is the one for Joker. But of course, you know, the Star Wars fan of me will not mind if John Williams adds another Oscar to it. Visual effects. This is kind of almost seen like the blockbuster movie award a lot of the times too, because a lot of the films that a lot of us see, especially in theaters, are the big popcorn spectacle, visual effects heavy films. So when someone is watching the Oscars, a lot of times these are the movies that they've seen. So up for it, you have Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, The Lion King, 1917, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. To be honest, I think The Lion King should win because making all those animals look real, I think, was a heavy, heavy duty job. For some reason, I've heard whispers about The Irishman, and to be honest, I don't see why. I'll talk about my feelings about The Irishman in a little bit, but yes, making, Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro and even Al Pacino look younger, it's something that's started a while ago, and they did it, for this film very heavily. But I don't think it was good enough or the most, perfectly done compared to, say, The Lion King to deserve this award. So, again, I think Lion King should win. Whether The Irishman does win, if it does, I think it's the least deserving out of all these movies, actually. So there's that. Best cinematography, you have 1917, The Irishman, Joker, The Lighthouse, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I did not see The Lighthouse. I wanted to see it. I thought about seeing it, honestly, but it's one of those films where I know it's going to get a lot of buzz. It looks like, a film that, a lot of Academy members would like. Whereas I, the average viewer who, I've never made a movie. I've been on some film sets. I've done some, production on television, stuff like that. But very minor stuff, nowhere near what Academy voters have done. This movie looked way too weird. It's what it is. So that's why I didn't see it. I came even to Redbox and I thought about seeing it. But again, I know it's a film that I wasn't going to like as far as my own personal taste. So I didn't see it. So based off the other ones, though, best cinematography, how can you not give it to 1917? Honestly, if you see 1917 and what they did with that film, what Sam Mendes directed, all the people involved, it's going to be 1917. If it's not 1917, you might as well just, say, call it no more cinematography, no more Oscars, because that would be a tragedy. Moving on, we got Best Animated Feature, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, I Lost My Body, Claws, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4. So for the Golden Globes, the Missing Link actually won. I think there's a little bit of a slant there. Like I said, the Golden Globes are the Hollywood foreign press. And one thing I did notice, just to be fair, was that a lot of people that won during the Golden Globes were a lot of foreigners, non-Americans. Not that I have a problem with that. That's perfectly fine. My problem with the Golden Globes isn't about that. My problem with the Golden Globes is when you nominate The Martian with Matt Damon for Best Musical or Comedy when there's nothing funny or musical about it. But that's neither here nor there. So I didn't see The Missing Link, and I didn't see I Lost My Body. So just to be fair about that. Now, How to Train Your Dragon, Claws, Toy Story 4, all fine films. And honestly, up until about a week or 2 weeks ago, I would have said I liked How to Train Your Dragon more than Toy Story 4. Again, Toy Story 4, a fine film. My least favorite of the Toy Story films, to be honest, though. But How to Train Your Dragon, still of that quality of the other two How to Train Your Dragon films, and completed the trilogy very nicely, had a good message in it. So I loved it. But I sat down about a little over a week ago and actually watched the movie Claus on Netflix, kind of a reimagining of the Santa Claus myth. And hot damn, I really liked it. I really liked it. I know it's, I won some awards, I believe some Annie Awards, and the BAFTAs, I believe it won too. And that's got my vote. I think Claus has got my vote for Best Animated Feature. Now, given the fact that, Pixar seems to usually be in the lead when it comes to this stuff. Toy Story 4 probably be a leading contender. And then, of course, The Missing Link, given that it did get the Golden Globe, might be thrown in the running too. But I think Claus should win it. in my opinion, and I think it has a good chance of winning, given that, again, it cleaned up at the BAFTAs, Annie Awards. I think it's getting more attention, more people are seeing it, so that's going to be my vote, and I will be ecstatic if Clause won Best Animated Feature. Best Original Screenplay nominees are 1917, Knives Out, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. So, like I said, I just finished watching Parasite no more than 15, 20 minutes ago. Everyone says they loved it. Everyone, loved it. I get why people liked it. I'm one of those type of people. I'll be honest. I'm a dumb, stupid American who doesn't want to read subtitles the entire time I'm watching a movie. I watch a movie for, escapism, like a lot of people. So, focusing on the subtitles, I don't love, but I sat down, I watched it. I thought it was a fine film. I'll share more thoughts on that when I get to Best Picture. But looking at Best Original Screenplay, looking at the story, I think Marriage Story gave us a very honest and disgruntled look at divorce. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino, mesmerizing. Any story he does, he brings such great dialogue and great characters and, finds the best actors and mesmerizes us. 1917, it's a perfect blend of, a war story and just what a soldier goes through in that time period. And then Knives Out, of course, Rian Johnson. I gotta get credit to Rian Johnson. This is the film he chose to do after The Last Jedi, Star Wars, that he got so much crap for, and now he's getting so much praise for it, which I really hope shuts up those stupid Last Jedi haters. Really, I could go on about that, but that's another show. Best screenplay or best story, I guess you would say. It's a tough choice, honestly. I mean, I think any one of them could be fine to win it. Who's got my number one vote? It's either going to be Knives Out or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Again, I just love the way Tarantino crafts a story and the characters and the dialogue. But Knives Out, again, it's a nice, complicated, fun story to go along with it. So either one of those two I think would be fine. Who do I think will win? I think Tarantino won for Golden Globes, if I remember correctly. So I wouldn't be surprised if he won. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if any of them won, really. But I think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Knives Out has my vote. Best Adapted Screenplay, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, The Two Popes. The Irishman, I think story-wise is pretty solid. Joker, I would love if a movie based off a comic book won Best Adapted Screenplay, basically saying that the story that was based on a comic book was the best story adapted wise in this year. That would be interesting. All of them have really, something great. Little Women been adapted several times. I think it has the least chance of doing it, although a fine film, of course, too. I mean, if I were to pick one, I'd probably go Irishman, even though I really wasn't a big fan of The Irishman, to be honest. But I think it did a good job. Wow. Again, I think any one of them except for Little Women and maybe The Two Popes. The other three, Joker, I guess I'm predisposed to root for Joker. Despite my feelings on it, again, I'm rooting for basically a comic book storyline is what I'm rooting for. So I guess I just have to put my favoritism towards that. But Jojo Rabbit, Irishman, I would be fine if they won as well. Best Director, oh boy. Okay, we're getting into some of the major categories here, guys. We have Bong Joon-ho, is that how to say it? I think that's what it is. Parasite, Sam Mendes for 1917, Todd Phillips for Joker, Martin Scorsese, The Irishman, and Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's Sam Mendes, guys. Okay, what he did with 1917, the style of filmmaking that he did with making it seem like a seamless one take all the way through. I mean, I'm still wondering how he pulled that off, in my opinion, and how it looks so beautiful. I mean, I gotta give it to Sam Mendes. Now, Tarantino, Scorsese, those are the good old boys that always seem to get nominated, and you could lean towards one or the other with that. Bong Joon-ho, he's a fine director. He made a fine film, but I gotta say it's gotta be Sam Mendes, Todd Phillips. Great again. They all did such great jobs, good jobs. But I think the one that stands above the rest is Sam Mendes. He's been winning stuff as a director for this award season, so I can just I think it's gonna be him, and I want it to be him personally. Best actor in a supporting role. Okay, so you have Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Joe Pesci, The Irishman, Tom Hanks, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, and Anthony Hopkins, The Two Popes. Have not seen A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I'll be honest about that here, so I'm going with the other four. Al Pacino, while a great actor, honestly, I watched that movie and I feel like I'm watching his character in Dick Tracy. I honestly do. He's playing his gangster role, I guess, his over-the-top gangster role. And, fine job what he does, but I don't see anything special about it. Joe Pesci, kind of a comeback role for Joe Pesci because he's been out of the spotlight for a while, stepping back in, working again with Robert De Niro, with Martin Scorsese. I think he did a fine job. Anthony Hopkins, The Two Popes, again, great job. Anthony Hopkins, you always expect grade A effort, and he gave it, and I really enjoyed it. Brad Pitt, though, in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I mean, say what you will about, the character or whatever. Brad Pitt just, he brought it, and he made that character come alive, and it was the one thing that you walked away from. Him and, Leonardo DiCaprio, they did great in this film, and they made their characters so great. I walked out of that movie thinking, God damn, Brad Pitt was awesome. So I want Brad Pitt to win. Who do I think will win? I think it'll be Brad Pitt too, because like I said, he's been racking it up in the other awards, so I'm fine with that. Now, if the other actors got it, okay, I'm cheering for all of them, but I think Brad Pitt gave the most distinct performance out of all of them. Best Supporting Actress: Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, Laura Dern, Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson, Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh, Little Women, and Margot Robbie, Bombshell. I have not seen Richard Jewell. Give you that right there. So let's take that one out of the mix. Laura Dern's the one that's been, getting this award in all the other award seasons. And I think she does a fine job. But here's the thing about supporting roles that I don't get is sometimes I think there are so few. They're so, what's the word I'm looking for? I think sometimes to get a supporting role, you have to be in more than just 2 minutes of the film. Now, Laura Dern and Scarlett Johansson, I think, did great in what they did, but do I think they were in the film enough to say it was a good supporting role to where you got a good sense of what they were trying to do with the character, what their performance was? Honestly, no. I love Scarlett Johansson. Everyone knows I love Scarlett Johansson, okay? But I don't think they were in enough of the film or gave enough of a performance compared to, say, the other actors like Margot Robbie or Florence Pugh to say, yes, they were the best supporting role. So I think they were great, and I think Laura Dern's going to win it because she's been cleaning up. But honestly, if I put my 2 cents in, I'd probably put it more towards Margot Robbie. I think she did a great job in Bombshell. The situation, the character growth that she went through, I thought it was great. So I'm going to put my 2 cents behind her. But Florence Pugh, honestly, she's one of those young actresses. I'm watching her career grow these last year or two, and I am looking forward. I'm cheering for her for this award season, for her future projects like Black Widow. I think she's a great young actress, and if she were to win, I think it'd be a great victory. Best Actor: Antonio Banderas, Pain and Glory; Leonardo DiCaprio, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood; Adam Driver, Marriage Story; Joaquin Phoenix, Joker; Jonathan Pryce, The Two Popes. Pain and Glory was one of those films that I thought about seeing, and I kind of still want to see, but I didn't get a chance to. So Antonio Banderas, I'll step aside for a sec there. Obviously, I think everyone knows Joaquin Phoenix is going to win this. Okay, he's been winning. He's been crushing it. No problem. Jonathan Pryce and The Two Popes, I watched the film the other day. I thought he did a fine job. But I don't think he was nearly as good as, say, everyone else on the list as far as the other three films that I've seen. Adam Driver, Marriage Story, brought something that we've never seen Adam Driver do in any performance he's had. So I got to give him credit for that. He was phenomenal. Good job. Leonardo DiCaprio, my favorite actor right now. I don't know if he's my favorite actor of all time, but he's definitely my current favorite actor working right now. So I got to have a little predisposition. Is that the word? Probably not. But he's the one I like the most, so I got to cheer for him a little bit. But Joaquin Phoenix, hell of a performance. No one can doubt that. If he's going to take it, that's fine. I think everyone will be fine with that, and that's fine with me too. Best Actress, Cynthia Erivo. Is that how you say her last name? Probably not. Harriet, Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, Charlize Theron, Bombshell, Renee Zellweger, Judy. Renee Zellweger has been the one who's been winning this award constantly throughout the award season. I think she's the one again that's going to win it. I have not seen Harriet. Again, like Pain and Glory, it's one of the films that I really want to see. I still might. I still have a couple days before the Oscars, and I still might just go to Redbox real quick and pick it up. Guys, like I said, most of these films you can see now either through streaming or Redbox. Parasite I streamed. Jojo Rabbit I went and saw in theaters, but you can actually buy it for like $15 if you want to watch it at home. Most of the movies you can watch, Little Women and 1917 I think are still in theaters, but all the other ones you can see I think from the comfort of your own home if you really want to. But anyway, Best Actress, Scarlett Johansson, again, love her, great job. Charlize Theron, Bombshell, probably out of the ones that I know, she's probably my least likely to win, or the one I want least likely to win, even though she did a fine job. I'm still wondering what they did to her face, actually, to get her to look more like her character, or the anchor, I forget her name, but Saoirse Ronan. I enjoyed Little Women more than I actually thought I would, and I'll talk about that here in just a sec. But again, Renee Zellweger, I think, is the one who's going to win it. She did a great job playing Julie Garland. When you saw the trailer for this movie, you knew she was reaching for that Oscar. She was reaching for that critical praise, and I think she got it. So that's who I think should win, and that's who I think will win. Okay, guys, the big one, Best Motion Picture. I'm going to talk a little bit about each film, of course, and like I said, I just got done watching the last one. I might put out a list, actually, of my least to most favorite here after I'm done with this. But Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 1917, and Parasite. So I'm going to go with the one I most recently saw, Parasite. Again, it's one of those movies that, out of all the films on this list, I was not looking forward to seeing this movie. Little bias, of course. Like I said, I'm a dumb American who doesn't want to read subtitles, so I wasn't looking forward to that. A lot of people liked it, so I watched it, and I can see why people liked it. I can see why it's getting all the praise. Totally agree on that. To me, it's one of those films that, okay, I watched it. It was interesting. I'm never going to watch it again. And there's a couple of movies that, are on this list that are kind of like that too. This was one of them. I don't think it should deserve Best Picture, in my opinion, and I'm not rooting for it. Marriage Story, again, another movie that I enjoyed. I'm glad I watched it. I think it, has a real truth to it in regards to relationships and divorces and stuff like that. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson carried this film. It's on their shoulders. They deserve the praise they've gotten. And for that, again, I think it deserves to be up here. Ford v Ferrari, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Matt Damon and Christian Bale. A little surprised that Christian Bale didn't get a nomination for Best Actor in this one, but I don't think, I would kick anyone out of the Best Actor category, the other five guys. Granted, of course, I don't know Antonio Banderas, but I'm going to go on faith that the people who nominated him know better than I do. But Ford v Ferrari was a good film, but here's what I don't like about how they've expanded the motion picture category to include, 5 to 10 is what it gets to be now. It's a cop-out. It's a total cop-out, in my opinion, when they went from 5 to 8. Now, I think it's meant to, again, include more movies to where the average goer who doesn't see the more critically acclaimed ones, like Parasite or, Jojo Rabbit or The Irishman, bring in Ford v Ferrari. It's a movie that looked really cool to the average viewer, so, they're more likely to watch the Oscars if, we have a movie nominated for Best Picture that people have actually seen and like. Which, it's not to say anything about the movie, because I think the movie's great, but it doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning this category. And even if it was nominated, everyone knows it doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell. And to me, it's just kind of disservice to the film. It's almost like if you were to put it in Best Popular Film category, it's almost a joke. And not, again, not saying anything about the film, because I think the film is great. It is a great film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But why even try to nominate this film if you know there's not a chance in hell it's ever going to win? I don't know. The Irishman. I love Martin Scorsese, okay? I think he's a great film actor, one of the best of all time. I love almost all his movies. With The Irishman, it was one of those things when you heard it was going to be put on Netflix, you're thinking, okay, well, maybe the movie's not good enough. And when you think about it, Netflix is starting to become that place where you can put your smaller independent film that probably won't make money, okay? Even, what was that Ryan Reynolds film, Six Underground? That seems very much like a big budget, big spectacle, theater-going movie. But it was put on Netflix. And I think it comes to the point now where studios have to make a choice, where they get the movie made and they look at it and said, how can we make the most money, or how can we recoup the most money off what we spent? They looked at Irishman and they said, okay, this film, while, could be good, definitely it's Martin Scorsese, so it's going to get some award craze, will not get people into the theaters to go see it to recoup all the money they made. So what they do, they sold it to Netflix and got their money back. And Netflix then got all the views of The Irishman, having the newest Martin Scorsese movie. And also, once it was nominated for all these awards, got more people to hop on Netflix and watch it. So that's kind of how, I see Netflix going once the streaming ones really get in the thick of it. But that's neither here nor there. The Irishman, a dry and slow film at 3.5 hours that could have been an interesting 2.5 hours. I'm sorry. That's my opinion of it. I think it's a great story. Obviously, you have great actors, great people behind it, but it was so dragged out. And I know Scorsese's known for his longer films, and most of the time I like them, but this one easily could have been an hour less and easily could have made it much more interesting to the average viewer like myself. So there's that. Jojo Rabbit. Saw this one the other day. I've been looking to see this one for months. It finally came to a theater near me, so I checked it out. The more I think about it these last couple of days, the more I like it. I walked out, feeling, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't great, But the more I think about it, the more I do like it. Like I said, I'm going to sit down here after this and go through my list of, least to favorite of the Best Picture nominees. And I'll post that on my personal Facebook. I don't know if I can post it on the groups. So if you're Facebook friends with me, you can see it there. I might even post it on Twitter to go along with that. Joker. It's a comic book movie that got nominated for Best Picture. And with this movie, I'm crossed on it, okay? Because I tell people the only reason people went and saw this movie is because it was based on a famous comic book character or a popular comic book character. But I say that as both good things and bad things. Good things, great, because if you took the fact that, this film is based on probably the most popular comic book villain in our time, you take that out of it, it's a film about, society, and a lot of people wouldn't see this type of film normally. But because it is based on a comic book character, because it does have the Joker in it, it is associated with Batman, people went and saw it. People that wouldn't normally see a type of film like this went and saw the film, and that's a good thing. But it also shows, again, much like how Logan did, or something like The Dark Knight, or even Deadpool, comic book films don't have to be just one note. These characters that have lasted decades are interesting and can have different angles done to them and can be incorporated into society or look at our society in different ways. And that's what the Joker did. It told a Joker origin story in a way that hasn't been told, took it very seriously, and held a mirror up to, the world and said, hey, this is how we could create this fictional character, a character that, is so bonkers, people didn't think this character could ever exist. This is a way of saying, yes, this type of person can exist and probably does exist in our society because of the way the society is. So, again, Joaquin Phoenix did a great job. Todd Phillips did a great job. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. I'm not a fan of, villain stuff, and I've talked about this before, about how this movie's about a guy who, is mentally ill to begin with, and then, goes crazy and starts killing people. That's not my cup of tea, to be honest. It's not. I think it's a great piece of filmmaking, and I praise everyone who were involved in it, but it's not a film I'm going to see again. I'm glad I saw it, but I'm not ever probably going to see this film again, honestly. So, Little Women. Obviously, you think Little Women, you think chick flick, but I went and saw it a couple days after it was nominated for Best Picture. I never saw the movie that came out in the 90s. That was probably the most famous version of it. I never read the book, so I had an idea of what it was about, but not really as far as the story-wise, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this film more than I thought I would. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture. I don't think it should win Best Picture up against all the other ones, but I enjoyed it immensely. I'll give you that. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, this is my cup of tea. Now, a lot of people are saying, kind of like with La La Land, Hollywood likes to nominate films that are about Hollywood. And Quentin Tarantino went back and showed us 1960s Hollywood, and people in Hollywood like that. So that's probably why I got a lot of praise, or why, it's a lot of ego. And I'm not going to debate that or really disagree with it. But it's Tarantino. He knows how to write a story. He knows how to direct a film. He got the best actors like Brad Pitt and DiCaprio to be in it. And this is probably, out of all the films that, were nominated, this is probably the film that I'm definitely going to watch again. Word has it, he has a longer cut that he's going to put on Netflix or put out somewhere, much like he did with Hateful Eight. And I want to watch this film again, but at this point I'm going to wait for the extended cut, and then I'm going to watch it again. Great acting, great story. I mean, it was, again, obviously it's fictional. It's fictional by taking a real life character like Margot Robbie's character and others, and, creating a false story, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. I enjoyed watching it. It was so much fun, especially those last, 10, 15 minutes of it. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and honestly, probably it's going to be my number one out of the films I most enjoyed. But 1917, it's going to win the Oscar, guys. I think it should win the Oscar. Again, what Sam Mendes did with not only the cinematography and the way he told the story, but, the way he looked at it, and the actors did great. The way it was all around taken care of. I think it was something that springs Hollywood, filmmaking, whatever, ahead, and that's what I love about, some films where, it's evolving the art of motion pictures, okay? For me, growing up, I knew about the Oscars, but as I've gotten older and semi more mature, that's debatable, I've learned to appreciate more the Oscar movies. Now, there are always some movies that, get nominated that I just can't stand. Moonlight won the Oscar a couple years ago. I walked out of that because, honestly, I thought it was boring as hell, and I did not enjoy it at all. But as I've gotten older and I've started, trying to watch more of these critically acclaimed films, I've realized why they are nominated by the Academy, and I start to agree more with the nominations of, the Oscars or other awards shows, and less with shows like, say, the People's Choice Awards and stuff like that. Maybe because I'm broadening my horizons, whatever. But 1917, again, I think it was one of those films that evolved the art of motion pictures, and I think it deserves to win the Oscar. It's what I think will deserve to win the Oscar. You know, the part of me kind of is rooting for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Joker. The ones that I got to say I'm just flat out against: Irishman, Marriage Story, and then probably Parasite. Not there. They aren't fine films. They're all fine films. But when you look at them all as a whole, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Jojo Rabbit, I think those are my top 3 films, or Joker even. Those are 4 films that I think are all around when it comes to directing, cinematography, acting, story, all around have the complete package. But 1917, because again of the type of film, the way it was shot, the way it was done, I think stands out above all the others. So that's why I think it should win and why I think it will win. But that's it. Yes, sir. I have run through my Oscar list, guys. Time for you to fire back on the social media groups and Gmail account. Let me know what you think. How many of these movies have you seen? Give me your list. I truly want to see your list. Let me know your best picture, favorite, the one you think will win, the one you want to win. Guys, if you haven't checked out any of these movies too, okay, so ones I'm going to recommend. Let's see here. For the average viewer, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 1917. What else did I say? Bombshell. Judy, really just because of Renee Zellweger's performance. I would recommend that. Claws, definitely animated film. If you haven't watched Claws, I highly recommend that. Knives Out, great mystery film to go along with that. But that's it for me. That's my Oscar list. And again, I love the Academy Awards because of how it works, and I feel there's a real legitimacy to it compared to some other award shows. So that's why I get psyched about it. That's why I try to watch all the Best Picture nominees to make sure my horizons are as broad as possible when it comes to films. I always say I love TV more than I love movies just because of the long-form storytelling and being able to spend more time with characters and diving in more, but I still love films. I still love movies. It's always my passion. TV, films, comic books, that's, my passion. No matter what genre they are, although I lean more towards horror, but that's another topic for another time. Anyway, let me know if you guys are watching the Academy Awards. What are you rooting for? All that stuff, guys. Fire back, of course, either on the Facebook group, the social media groups like Twitter, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, or finally, personally, Slim Dayspring12 on Twitter and Instagram. That's it, guys. Tonight, I'm going to go see Birds of Prey. I got a busy weekend, so the only time I can see this film is tonight. So I'm going to go to the Thursday night preview to go see it, and I will get a review up of that sometime this weekend. Again, I got a busy weekend. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I will try to do it. To be honest, I was not looking forward to this film. It's getting good reviews, though, and I know Margot Robbie can do great things as an actress, so we'll see how it goes, guys. That's it. Go out, enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, guys, too. Until next time, may the Force be with us all.